Someone asked me, Nicholeen, how do I help my teen become a successful adult? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principles self-government. And in this video, we're talking about raising successful adults. The teen years can be rough. They can be very difficult. There are reasons for that, and they are meant to be difficult for you and the teen, but we can make it a little bit easier as long as everybody understands the process. In this video, we're going to talk about how to prepare your teen to understand what's going on with them so that they can succeed better through adolescence and get them prepped to be a really successful adult. A little bit of a background on me. I've raised 4 children of my own. They're all adults. 3 of them at this point are graduated from university. They are married. 2 of them have children. 1 of them not yet. Then my 4th child, he's the youngest. He's only 20, but he has served a mission for our church. He's at university. He works like crazy. He's not married yet, but he's working away at becoming that adult and is a truly phenomenal man. Those are my 4 children. They have become successful adults. But also, I raised other people's children for a while when I did therapeutic treatment care for troubled teens. This meant that some of the most difficult teens that the state had came to live with me for therapeutic care. I had to help them learn how to behave differently, oftentimes think differently, how to repair their relationships, and get ready to launch into adulthood. Many people thought this wasn't possible with some of the teens, but the ones that left my home and went straight to adulthood actually did a pretty good job. Now, when you come from a background of trauma and you're neurodiverse in multiple different ways, people have always treated you a little bit differently, you maybe lack certain social skills, that can make it very difficult to transition to adulthood. So since I've worked with that many youth, and I've also worked with so many parents out there, I can tell you I've seen what works and what doesn't work. It does not work to argue with your children all of the time. It does not work to micromanage your teen all of the time. That's not something that should be happening at any time, but especially during those teen years. But that doesn't mean you should be allowing your teen to walk all over you, to tell you what to do, to control the family, to never help out. Those things would also be considered not good for the teen or the whole family dynamic. So how do you do that? How do you not micromanage and yet not let them control or micromanage everybody in the family? Well, let's talk about where they're at in their development. During the teen years, the puberty years, the brain is growing at a rapid rate. The prefrontal cortex is going through major development. Hormonally, we have got the hormones raging through the bodies. This is good for brain development, body development, bone development, muscle development, but it also leads to more emotional issues, which can then present a little bit of a problem when we're trying to do just basic parenting things that we've always done before. Sometimes parents will say to me, Nicholeen, I've been using your teaching self-government for a lot of years, and my children really responded well to it. In fact, we really got rid of almost every single behavioral problem. And then this one child hit the teen years, and it seemed like nothing worked. They were pushing back so hard. What should I do? So then I would explain to them, when your child is in the teen years, because they are so much smarter than they used to be, they recognize they're smarter, they can problem solve so much better than they used to, this is actually an indicator that we need to give them more freedom to solve some of their problems. We need to let them fail a little bit more. This doesn't mean all of the time, however, but sometimes it would be good. Am I going to let my child maybe hurt or abuse another person and just call that a simple failure? No. If I know something like that's happening, it's going to be stopped. Am I going to let my child just fail school and fail socially and never comment on it. No, that would be bad parenting. I need to do the parenting. I need to help them know that they are still held accountable for their behavior and their choices. They need to know that I'm still here for them. Even teens need the security that comes from a parent who engages with them and shows them that they are going to correct them when needed. But it absolutely can be overdone. If as a parent you find yourself nagging your teen about everything, from wake up to hygiene to manners to social skills to school, then probably you're talking about a little bit too much. What you want to decide is, what are the main things your teen needs to know? I decided that the teens at my house needed to know and understand those 4 basic skills of self-government. Now, if you've already subscribed to this channel, you know that the 4 basic skills of self-government are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. If they were going to have maximum trust from their parents, they needed to be really good at these 4 basic skills. Also, these 4 basic skills were going to be vital for them in adulthood. So I just explained that to them. I said, you know what? If you get really good at the 4 basic skills, and I hardly have to correct you anymore, then soon you won't earn an extra chore like your younger brothers and sisters, because you won't need it. If your heart's already in the right place, you can see cause and effect, you can solve your problems. That's the whole point of it anyway. The cause and effect when you earn an extra chore is just to help you recognize that it's healthy to take responsibility for your own negative consequences by accepting them, instead of thinking that something always happened to you. They seem to understand that. I would then go on to say, as soon as we get you to a place, maybe around age 16 or so, maybe 17. Now, if you're just starting this at age 16 or 17, you do have to do the teaching first and then graduate them later. And so you could be a little bit behind the curve on these skills and the graduation of the skills, but that's okay. I would tell them, I will graduate you from earning an extra chore or that negative consequence when you don't do one of your 4 basic skills or steps to the 4 basic skills. They would get really excited about that. But then I would tell them, if you go completely out of instructional control, which means that you are refusing to follow any instructions from me, not take any feedback, be distant in our relationship, those types of things, then I will know that you are out of instructional control and we need to use the rule of 3, even though you have supposedly graduated from the negative consequence part of the teaching. As soon as you get to that stage, then I will do the first 3 steps of a correction. Then I'll tell you that there is a natural consequence that you should probably acknowledge and fix, and then you just get to go fix it and do it because you're mature, and I trust that you'll do that. They want our trust. They want that freedom, but they need to see that they have to earn it. They need to show us that they can get that freedom, not just demand it. That's different. It ruins relationships to be that controlling. So what I recommend is explaining to your teen that there's a time when you help them reform, and then there is a time where you help them transform. Transforming is when they turn into an adult. It's when no longer does anyone else have control of them, but they are now controlling them and moving to that next phase of life. This happens over a gradual period of time. It happens over a few years' time in the life of a teen. This is a difficult time because there's also things that we need to fix for them. And when we are helping them by reforming them, correcting them, helping them fix problems, they are resistant to it because they are recognizing that they also feel so mature in other ways. So if you can explain to them that when they're young, we do a lot of reform and just a little bit of transform. But as they go through adolescence and the teen years, we start transforming more and reforming a little bit less because their own heart has changed. Their desire to become the type of person that can self-govern themselves, take care of their relationships, and truly care has actually become apparent. Once they get up to this level, they don't need as much of the reform. We can mention something from time to time, but usually they'll even recognize things themselves. It surprises people to find out that with my own teens, I did not always require that their bedroom was cleaned every day or that they did their homework by a certain time every day. I allowed them to budget their own time. I told them these chores need to be accomplished at some point this week or today, but I let them decide when to do it and do the prioritizing. And if they didn't, then they got to face the consequences for it. If they didn't turn in their assignments or do their job at work, they got to face the consequences for it. They had to answer to somebody for it. If they treated someone poorly and damaged a relationship, they had to answer for that. Now, occasionally I would pull them aside and have talks about those things, but usually I let them just experience and then we would discuss. They knew I cared about them. I wanted them to be successful, and that meant we need to have regular discussions to help them get to that transforming that was necessary for adulthood. What about if they were completely disrespectful to me? Was I going to have the natural consequence of, fine, then I don't care about you? Because that could happen in real life, right? Then I needed to go back to reform. Until we got the reform where it needed to be, we couldn't focus on the transform. And so I explained that to the teens, and they seemed to get it. And very rarely did we have to do any reforming after that. It was like maybe once, maybe twice a week I would bring something to their attention. Otherwise, they just served and did and followed instructions. I told them, if you follow any instruction when I give it and you never have a problem, then probably A, you'll have less instructions, but B, I won't be correcting you and telling you you've earned extra chores when you do happen to miss something from time to time. That was powerful for them. When you're raising teens and you're helping them become successful adults, keep in mind where they're at developmentally, what they hope for. They hope for freedom, but they shouldn't take freedom at the cost of damaging relationships, hurting a family dynamic, and controlling other people. That is not true freedom. That is tyranny, and it's not good for the family. If that's what they're doing, then they need a little bit more reform. But what would happen if you just explained to them the difference between reform and transform and what it's like at their different stages of development? Suddenly they can take an active role in their own development, in their own progression, and this empowers them. One of the biggest things that's a struggle for teens is calmness. And that's because emotionally, they're at a really highly charged emotional time in their brain. There is a Calm Parenting Toolkit that I have that's all about calmness. 10 tools for calmness that could help you and could help them too if they watched it with you. It's a mini course. It's not the full teaching self-government training by any means. It's a great first step. So if you go to teachingselfgovernment.com, right on the homepage is the Calm Parenting Toolkit. Go to that today and start learning about calmness and self-government for yourself, and develop some calm tools that you can pass on to your teen too. I'll see you there.